Royce is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you, witnesses, for joining us today. The cost of the Housing Choice Voucher Program consists really of two parts, right? You've got the payments to owners to cover the difference between a tenant's contribution and the rent, and then you've got the administrative fees paid to participating housing authorities. And logic would dictate that reducing the resources extended on one would free up resources for the other, but the pool of these resources that they're drawn from, that's not infinite. So the housing authorities in my district are unable to accept applicants to Section 8 wait lists, they tell me, because the administrative costs are rising. And I'd like to ask Ms. Sard, you pointed to housing authority consolidation and also HUD shuttering poorly run or poorly performing, I guess I should say, housing authorities as a way to increase that efficiency. And I was going to ask you, how will that alleviate the weight for these families in need?
So I think that the forming consortia or consolidating with some important changes in policy. I want the committee to be clear that today's consortia rules don't create the kinds of efficiencies that they potentially could. And that makes them less attractive to PHAs and less useful to families. So we need changes
We need to reform that.
So I think the key thing is to allow the agencies that agree to form a consortia to have a single funding contract with HUD. That means instead of each of them doing all the paperwork and HUD doing all the paperwork on the reporting, that saves time. It saves time on maintenance of waiting lists. Right now, each individual housing authority maintains their own waiting lists. Families often apply to as many as they can in an area to maximize their chances of getting assistance, as they should.
On economies of scale,
but that's a waste of resources.
Right. Are you suggesting citywide we can do this or countywide?
So it's going to vary in the area. There are a lot of parts of the country that have county-wide housing authorities. Mississippi, in fact, is a leader in having regional housing authorities as a strategy to work in rural areas. It's going to vary. We
should pursue that. The second issue, you speak of efficiency here. I'm encouraged by HUD's moving to work, contract renewals, and the expansion of that pilot program. And I'll just tell you, I've talked at length to the Board of Supervisors through that local payment standards. The Housing Authority, for example, of San Bernardino County in my district, oversaw a reduction per unit cost from $730 to $652, in addition to a 9% decrease in residents living in the two highest poverty areas. So that's kind of a win-win. We're spending more efficiently there while moving residents closer to better opportunities, which is why the board really likes the program. Ms. Bloom, how has the moving to work contributed to economic mobility and efficiency in public housing? What characteristics can be replicated in other affordable housing programs so authorities like San Bernardino's can expand their success? And I'll just share with you that I've expressed my feelings about this to Secretary Castro many times. I'm glad to see HUD making progress, albeit slowly. And with that, I'll go to your answer.
Thank you very much. So the Moving to Work demonstration that currently has 39 agencies participating, including San Bernardino, have been leading the way on reducing administrative costs and providing more housing choice and self-sufficiency options to families. We use that as one of the pieces of information to help inform the streamlining rule that we published in April. But going forward with regard to the 100 PHA expansion on MTW, we are going to be rigorously studying the policy areas for that expansion so that we can better utilize that research to be able to make changes and simplify and reduce burden to housing authorities. So I appreciate your support.
A quick response on Ms. Sard's comments too. Were you in concurrence with some of her suggestions?
I think with regard to consortium, the department believes that this is a vehicle that housing authorities should voluntarily choose to do, and that we are looking to provide guidance on consortium beyond just the voucher program, but also on public housing, and we need to look at that in a unified way.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Until this time has expired. With that, we go to the gentlelady from Ohio, Ms. Beatty. She's recognized for